You are not someone who makes decisions quickly. You think things through, you weigh them, you sleep on them. But somehow you ended up in love with two men at the same time, and no amount of thinking has helped. The first one is Dominic. He is 37. He runs a private equity firm. He walks into rooms and they rearrange themselves around him. He is not trying to be impressive. That is simply what he is. The second one is James. He is 34. He teaches secondary school maths. He coaches the under-15s on weekends because no one else would. He drives a car that has a dent he keeps meaning to fix. He has never rearranged a room in his life. You met Dominic at a work event 6 months ago. He introduced himself and then asked you a question no one asks at work events. He said, "What do you actually care about?" Not what do you do. What do you care about? You were still thinking about it when he asked for your number. You met James at a farmer's market 3 months ago. You both reached for the last punnet of strawberries. He said take them. You said no, you take them. He split them in half on the spot, tipped them into your bag, and walked away before you could argue. You called after him. That was the beginning. They are nothing alike. Dominic sends restaurant reservations in advance with notes about the menu. James shows up with ingredients and asks if your kitchen has a working oven. Both approaches have worked on you equally. That is part of the problem. Emma knows about both of them. She has opinions. She has been cycling through the opinions for weeks. On Mondays, she thinks Dominic. By Thursday, she usually thinks James. On Fridays, she calls you and asks what you've decided. And when you say nothing yet, she audibly deflates. Sarah has the full spreadsheet. 2 columns, 13 criteria. She showed you once. You asked her to please never show you again. She said fine, but the data is there when you're ready. You are not ready. You may never be ready for the spreadsheet. Your mother has met neither of them. You have described both in careful detail over several Sunday phone calls. She said, "The CEO sounds impressive." Then she was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "The one who split the strawberries sounds like someone who thinks of other people first." You have not been able to stop thinking about that. Dominic took you to a tasting menu restaurant on your 3rd date. 7 courses, a sommelier, a view. You looked genuinely beautiful that evening, and he told you so without making it about him. He had a gift for that, making you feel seen, without making the moment about his generosity. James cooked you dinner in his apartment on your 3rd date. He had clearly practiced the dish. He slightly overcooked the pasta and was annoyed at himself, and you told him it was perfect, and he said, "It's not, but thank you." You liked that he knew the difference. You liked that he still served it. Dominic is decisive. He decides what he wants and moves toward it without internal debate. He decided he wanted you, and there has not been a single moment since where you doubted that. That certainty is extraordinary. You have spent your whole life looking for someone who is certain. James is thoughtful. He does not decide quickly. He turns things over. He asks questions about how you feel before he says how he feels. The first time he told you he was falling for you, he prefaced it with, "I want to be honest about something." That preface destroyed you in the best possible way. You tried to make a list. Your own list, not Sarah's spreadsheet. You wrote Dominic at the top of one page and James at the top of another. Under Dominic, you wrote, "Certain, ambitious, electric, challenges me, makes me feel chosen." You stopped there because that was already a lot. Under James, you wrote, "Kind, present, funny in a quiet way, sees me clearly, makes me feel safe." You sat with both lists for a long time. They described 2 completely different things that you both wanted equally. That was not helpful information. Emma came over and looked at the lists. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Maya, you did not list a single thing about who you are when you're with them. You listed what they give you. That's a different question." You stared at her. Sometimes Emma was the smartest person in the room. You thought about who you were with Dominic. You were sharper, more ambitious. You dressed differently. You thought about things you wanted that you had stopped wanting because they seemed too large. You were also slightly more nervous, not anxious, activated, like a part of you woke up that had been asleep. You thought about who you were with James. You were softer, more honest. You said things you usually edited. You laughed at things you usually kept quiet. You cried once in front of him about something small and he didn't try to fix it. He just sat closer. That was everything. You had dinner with Dominic on a Wednesday. He was talking about a deal, and he was genuinely fascinating, and somewhere in the middle of it, he looked at you and said, "I want to build a life with you." I should have said that before now. You held your wine glass very carefully. You had coffee with James on a Saturday. He was not talking about anything important. He was telling you about a student who had finally understood fractions, and his face was so lit up that you thought, "This is a person who is exactly where they are supposed to be." That thought came out of nowhere. It stayed. You told Emma what Dominic had said. She inhaled sharply. You told her what James's face had looked like. She exhaled slowly. She said, "Those are two different things that both matter." You said, "I know." She said, "I can't pick for you." You said, "I know." You sat together in the quiet of that for a while. Sarah asked you to define what you actually wanted your life to feel like in 10 years. Not your career, your life. You said you wanted to feel at home, in yourself and in your relationship. She wrote that down. She said, "Which one makes you feel more at home?" You said, "That depends on what part of home I'm talking about." Dominic asked you to come with him to a conference in Barcelona. Work-related, but also not. He said, "I want to see you in a different city. I think it would tell us something." You said you needed to think about it. He said, "Of course." His certainty always had room for your process. That was something. James asked if you wanted to come to his under-15s match on Sunday. Not as a date, just to come. He said, "They're terrible, but they try very hard and I thought you might like it." You said yes before you finished thinking. That instinctive yes told you something too. You went to the match. You stood on the sideline in the cold for 90 minutes. James ran up and down the touchline and called out the boys' names, and you watched him and you thought, "He is going to be a wonderful father one day." That thought arrived uninvited and stayed without permission. You didn't go to Barcelona. You told Dominic you weren't ready. He listened. He said, "I respect that. I want to be clear that I'm not going anywhere." Then he asked if he could take you to dinner when he was back. You said yes. The ease of his confidence was extraordinary. The slight ache underneath it was also real. Emma asked what the ache was about. You thought about it. You said, "I think I can see what life with Dominic would look like, and it's incredible, and also it's his life that I would be stepping into. I don't know where I'd put myself in it." Emma nodded slowly. She said, "That's important." You told James you were seeing someone else. You felt he deserved honesty. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Okay, can I ask if you're happy?" You said you didn't know yet. He said, "Then keep figuring it out. I'm not going anywhere either." Two men saying the same thing from completely different places inside themselves. Your mother called on a Sunday and asked directly. She said, "Have you decided?" You said no. She said, "Tell me something true about each of them." You said Dominic made you want more of yourself. She said, "And James?" You said James made you feel like you already were enough. She was quiet. Then she said, "Oh, sweetheart." That "oh, sweetheart" sat with you for 3 days. You knew what it meant. You just weren't ready to know what it meant yet. There is a difference between understanding something and being ready to act on it. You were still in the first place. Dominic came back from Barcelona and took you to a restaurant where you had been once before on a first date, and he remembered the exact table. You had mentioned it once in passing 7 weeks ago. He had remembered. You thought, "This man pays attention in the way that powerful men rarely do." That was not nothing. James texted you a photo of one of his students' maths tests. A perfect score. He had written Maya, "Look at this," at the top of the message. He thought of you when something good happened to someone else. You sat with your phone for a long time after that. You talked to yourself honestly for the first time on a Tuesday evening. Not to Emma, not to Sarah, not to your mother, just you. You asked yourself what you were actually afraid of. The answer surprised you. You were not afraid of choosing wrong. You were afraid of what choosing would close. Because choosing Dominic would close James. And choosing James would close Dominic. And you had been holding both doors open because you had never been loved by 2 people at once, and some small, terrified part of you was afraid of returning to the ordinary pace of one. That was honest. It was not flattering. It was true. Emma said something that evening that cut through everything. She said, "You've been asking which one is better, but that's not the question. The question is which one is right for the woman you're becoming, not the one you are now, the one you're on your way to." You thought about the woman you were becoming. She was more certain than she used to be, more willing to take up space, less willing to make herself small. She was someone who had learned to want things directly. Dominic had showed her that wanting was allowed. James had shown her that being was enough. You sat with both of those gifts for a long time. They had each given you something real. You could carry both gifts forward. You only had to choose one of them. You made your decision the following Sunday. No drama, no moment. You just knew. The way you sometimes know things before you're ready to say them. You had known for longer than you'd admitted. You had just been afraid to close the door. You called the one you chose. He picked up. You told him. He didn't say "I knew" or "I told you so" or "finally." He just listened, and then he said your name once in a way that sounded like relief. You had not realized. You had been waiting to hear your name said that way. You called the other one the next morning. That conversation was harder. He was kind about it, which made it harder. You thanked him for what he had given you. He said he hoped she was right for you. You said she was on her way to being right for herself. He said, "That's the same thing." You thought about that for a long time after you hung up.